On the Road Again is one of the most recognizable songs in the history of American music. You've heard it, even if you don't think of yourself as a country music fan, even if Willie Nelson's name only half registers for you, you have heard it. The opening guitar figure, the voice that comes in like an old friend showing up unexpectedly. On the road again, just can't wait to get on the road again. You know it. What you probably don't know is that it was written in approximately 3 minutes, on an airsickness bag, on a commercial flight, between conversations, by a man who had been asked to write a song and had run out of time and decided that 3 minutes was enough. This is that story. The year was 1979. Willie Nelson had been asked to appear in a film called Honeysuckle Rose, directed by Jerry Schatzberg, a drama about a country music star whose life on the road strains his marriage and his relationships. It was, in other words, a film that did not require Willie Nelson to stretch very far as an actor. He agreed to do it. The producers needed original music for the film. They needed songs that would be performed on screen, songs that would anchor the story, songs that would sound like they could actually exist in the world of a working country musician. They asked Willie Nelson to write them. Willie, characteristically, agreed without making any promises about when they would be delivered. He was in the middle of one of his busiest touring periods. The road was constant. Cities blurred into each other. The tour bus was home. The hotels were temporary. The stage was the only fixed point in a life that had organized itself entirely around movement. The producers were patient for a while. As filming approached, they became less patient. They needed the title song specifically. The film was called Honeysuckle Rose, but they needed a song that captured what the main character's life felt like: the pull of the road, the love of movement, the specific affliction of someone for whom staying still is the hardest thing in the world. "Willie," his manager conveyed to him, "they need the song. Soon. As in, very soon." Willie understood. He was on a flight, commercial aviation. The kind of flight where you are in a middle seat and the recycled air smells like everyone else's afternoon, and the only thing you can do is think. Willie Nelson was a person who had spent more time than most in states of enforced stillness. Tour buses, backstage waiting, the specific purgatory of travel between places you actually want to be. He had learned to use that time. He reached into the seat pocket in front of him, pulled out the airsickness bag, turned it over to the blank side, and started writing. The people sitting near him on that flight have, over the years, become the subjects of considerable speculation among country music historians. Nobody knows exactly who they were, whether they watched him write, whether they had any idea what was happening in the seat beside them, whether they looked over and saw words appearing on an airsickness bag and understood they were watching history. Probably they didn't. That's usually how history works. The song came out almost fully formed. Willie has said in interviews that he doesn't entirely know where it came from, which is the answer most songwriters give when they've written something that arrived faster than their conscious mind could have constructed it. The melody was already there. The rhythm of the words fell naturally into the rhythm of the tune. The life he was describing, the road, the band, the places, the feeling that staying still was a kind of dying. That was just the life he was living. He wasn't writing about a character. He was writing about himself. about the particular condition of being a person for whom the road is not a burden, but the only place where everything makes sense. The verse about the places they would see, the people they would meet, the friends who waited at each destination, those weren't invented details. Those were the actual contents of Willie Nelson's life. He wrote it down as it came. 3 minutes. Maybe less. By the time the flight attendant came through with the beverage cart, the song was finished. Willie Nelson sat with the airsickness bag in his hands and read it back to himself. He changed one word. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his shirt pocket. When he landed, he called his manager. "I've got the song," he said. "The title song for the movie." "You wrote it?" "On the plane." There was a pause. "Willie, we needed this song 3 weeks ago." "I know," Willie said, "but I just had the right amount of time." The recording of On the Road Again was completed with his band shortly after. Willie played Trigger. The arrangement was simple, direct, exactly what the song required. When the producers heard it, there was, according to people in the room that day, a brief silence. Then someone said, "That's the one." On the Road Again was released with the film in 1980. It became one of the defining songs of Willie Nelson's career. It won the Grammy for Best Country Song in 1981. It has been performed at virtually every Willie Nelson concert since the day it was written. It is one of the most covered country songs in history. But none of that was knowable on that flight. On that flight, it was just a man with a pen and a blank surface and a few minutes and a life that was the song he needed to write. Willie has talked about the writing of that song in a way that reveals something important about how he understands creativity. "People ask me how I wrote it so fast," he has said. "But fast isn't really the right way to think about it. I had been living that song for 20 years. It was already written. I just needed a piece of paper." The airsickness bag itself became an object of some interest. Willie kept it for a while. He has not spoken definitively about where it is now, whether it was preserved, lost, or simply wore out the way things do when they're not designed to be artifacts of history. What survives is the song, which is the part that matters. There is something worth dwelling on in the image of that moment. A man on a plane. No studio, no instrument, no collaborator. Just altitude and movement and a blank paper bag and a life full enough to fill a song in the time it takes to fill a cup of coffee. Willie Nelson has written hundreds of songs. Crazy, which Patsy Cline made famous. Hello Walls, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, Nightlife. He is one of the most prolific songwriters in American music history, and he will tell you, has told interviewers many times, that the best songs don't feel written. They feel found, like they were already there, waiting in the particular combination of experience and stillness and time that sometimes, if you're paying attention, opens up long enough to let something through. 30,000 feet in the air, middle seat, recycled air. Willie Nelson was paying attention. And what came through in those 3 minutes has accompanied people on their own roads for more than 40 years since. Played at the beginning of road trips, sung at the end of long days, heard on radios in trucks moving through flat country at hours when everything is quiet and the road ahead disappears into darkness, and the song makes the darkness feel less like danger and more like possibility. That's what it does. That's what Willie Nelson caught on the back of an airsickness bag on a commercial flight in 1979. 3 minutes. One word changed. 40+ years of people on the road again.